All right. Final call of the day. Calling from a 240 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hello, I think this is me. Is this me?
It is you. Who is this and where are you calling?
Excellent. Hello, I'm Alex Fugue. This is a Maryland area phone number, but I'm actually calling from north of Boston.
North of Boston. And what's your name?
Alex Fugue. It's
well, you don't have
German,
to give me. You don't have to give me the last name. So we'll pretend that that didn't happen. Alex from the North Shore of Massachusetts.
Yes, indeed. I'm calling because I'm both American and Canadian, so I'm a big proponent of single-payer healthcare.
Okay.
And my father's Canadian. He's a big proponent of it, too. But he also works for a whole bunch of different drug companies as a project manager, having worked his way up through the industry. And I've noticed that there are misunderstandings and incorrect assumptions about the industry that I want to clear up, as well as say, hey, here are some things we can do to lower drug prices and make it easier that are simple. Here are some of the more complicated issues. So this will be a few minutes if you have the time. If not, you just hit the highlighted points.
I hit the highlighted points because we're towards the end of the show.
Sure. I think the really two big points then is that there's this misunderstanding that the government/universities pay for all drug research. This is technically true, but that's not covering the whole issue. Research is just the very individual molecules that people come up with and say, we think this might help solve X. We think this might cure Y. Discovery, which is the real expense of creating drugs, is the actual testing on mice and humans. And while research can be like tens of millions of dollars, testing can be hundreds of millions to $250 million. And then second, most drugs fail in discovery, like something between 95 and 98% of drugs fail in discovery. So when you're paying for a drug at the pharmacy, you're not just paying for all of the work that went into figuring out whether or not that drugs work. You're figuring all that money in the 10 drugs before it that failed, but still cost the company hundreds of millions of dollars to research because they thought they had a potentially viable one. So that makes it more expensive. The good news is PCMBs, those pharmacy benefit managers, they're just trash. They're about 51% of what you're paying for in a drug. We can just get rid of them. We'll lose nothing. We'll cut drug prices in half. That's an easy solve. But
all right. Well, before we get to the prescription benefit managers, and I agree with you, those things completely absurd. Middlemen who don't need to exist, and there seems to be I think if Lina Khan is there in 2025, I think we're going to see some type of government action about these pharmacy benefit managers. The question of investment. I mean, there's a reason why government ends up being the people doing that initial research, right? Because it's wider in scope. And I think, if the pharmaceutical industry is concerned that they're not getting credit for that, they could pick up this research themselves and develop it. I personally think that in every other circumstance, when a angel investor comes in, gives the seed money, that money is worth more than money that comes in later. I don't know why we follow that principle in every circumstance except for when it's government money that is providing that seed money. A. B, I would also say, yes, of course. The model is that you get, whatever it is, 3 or 4 failed drugs for every one that comes through. Maybe it's 10 failed drugs for every one that comes through. Maybe it's 20. Whatever that is, this is an industry that globally makes something like almost $2 trillion annually in profits. or I'm sorry, that's the size of the business. You've got billions and billions in profit. So it's not like they're not getting profits from this. I think, personally, I wouldn't have a problem with the government producing generics to compete with a lot of these. B, minimize the length of some of these patents, and or the government participating for their investment in research in terms of the upside on these things, or some type of regulation like we see in the context of the utility industry, where you get a profit. It's 10, 12%, and that's that. We regulate how much you put into research and development.
So I hear you, and I actually agree with you on the utility idea. That's something I personally am a proponent of. I am telling you simply that as someone who lives in a household with someone who's relatively high up in this industry, there are the companies, you got your Pfizers and your whatnot, which, to be fair, he's not working for, who do just make massive amounts of profit. And okay, this goes into the thing that the more expanded thing, on time thing. It's just, as I said, I'm in favor of single payer. I'm in favor of government being the one single person buying from these companies and whatnot and passing that on to the people who need it. But right now, the other countries aren't paying like an actuarially sound amount for drugs. They're underpaying for it. And we, the U.S. people, are subsidizing the rest of the world, which is part of the reason why prices are so ridiculously high up here. Some of it's greed, some of it's profit, some of it's subsidization. And so as much as I would like to say a single-payer healthcare system would massively reduce the amount of costs for us and put us on par with like Europe, who got their shit together 30 years ago and figured this stuff out, it's just not the case, and it's going to be more complicated. That's
of course. I mean,
it's going to be more complicated than simply going single payer. Boom, everything's hunky dory. Everything's down to Europe.
Yes, I got to be honest with you. I've had these conversations with people for a long time. I've never heard anybody who thinks that single payer is going to be the panacea to cut down drug costs. I definitely think getting rid of the pharmacy benefit managers is smart because you don't need it. There's no middleman and regulation. So it's all good. Appreciate the call. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.